Asan si Lorence? Asan si Lorence?
Are you tired of cliche grayscale human rights infomercials demanding sympathy?
Are you one of those people who actually want to defend human rights based on reason and not just on pure emotion?
Have you finally decided to ask why?
We are Truthko, and we know that the ignorance of the human rights is sad, but the lack of logical faculty to combat it is even worse.
Let us all together be informed. In this video, we'll talk about what the Declaration of Human Rights stipulates and why we should defend it. Hashtag will prove it.
But first, let's talk about why we need human rights. Short answer is, you need it. You need to live, you need it to actually do things, and you need it to be able to live your life out fully. And the most prevalent causes of the antagonizing of these rights are, number 1, it is being evoked by authority in the wrong way. Number 2, it doesn't benefit a cause that some would find most fit, like death penalty, for example.
We aren't marginalizing those that antagonize it. In fact, we would love to have a factual discussion in order to build upon a correct conclusion whether some rights are correct or not.
But before we do so, let us know what the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is.
The Universal Declaration of Human Rights, or the UDHR, is a historic document that was adopted by the United Nations General Assembly at its third session on 10th of December 1948. The declaration consists of 30 articles affirming an individual's rights, which, although not legally binding in themselves, have been elaborated in subsequent international treaties. The declaration was the first step in the process of formulating the International Bill of Human Rights, which was completed in 1966. The declaration consists of a preamble and 30 articles. The preamble sets out the historical and social causes that led to the necessity of drafting the declaration. And here are the contents. Articles 1 to 2 establish the basic concepts of dignity, liberty, equality, and brotherhood.
Articles 3 to 5 establish other individual rights, such as the right to life and the prohibition of slavery and torture.
Articles 6 to 11 refer to the fundamental legality of human rights with specific remedies cited for their defense when violated.
Articles 12 to 17 establish the rights of the individual towards the community, including such things as freedom of movement.
Articles 22 to 27 stipulates an individual's economic, social, and cultural rights, including healthcare.
Articles 28 to 30 establish the general ways of using these rights. The Universal Declaration is not a treaty, however, so it does not directly create legal obligations for countries. However, it is an expression of the fundamental values which are shared by all members of the international community. As such, it is followed by most countries because, well, it's good at keeping a society safe and well-functioning.
Why? Historically, philosophical structures between individuals have overlapped and caused conflict and mayhem. Before these rights were ratified, what was the structure of life? Statistics pointed out that there was a lot of anarchism, extremism, wars, and slave trade. Human rights were created in order for us to empirically evaluate that, hey, overlapping freedoms is a problem. We needed human rights as a concrete means of abolishing this detrimental societal structure, to ratify principles for us to not destroy ourselves and function well as a society.
Furthermore, the framework was built to sustain the protection of human welfare in order for us to continually improve ourselves, to offer our services to society and to our loved ones.
Now here's the timely question encompassing most issues today like extrajudicial killings, abortion, and the like. The question is, why do we have to defend the rights of some people when they violate other people's freedom? It's like saying an anecdote of, if somebody uses drugs and hurts a lot of people, you will indict them to death. And then you pose the question, why do you need to care for that person's right to life and their freedom? It could potentially stop drug use forever. Well, that would actually indict you to the question of whether or not you think that removing this individual from society would actually benefit it. And that's pretty extremist and subjective. We believe that you don't really know that. But since you are free, and you are free to think that, let's see the facts on this topic if it is really feasible. Fact number 1. Historically, it didn't work. Well, that's a great way to start off. But let's move on to topic. The skilling method of law implementation came into the form of the drug war program that was already launched in the United States by President Nixon in the 70s. And after some time of its implementation, it halted due to the fact that people didn't stop. They got even more creative in hiding drugs. Instead, they found out the cure, an alternative one. They said, hey, hate isn't the best way to tackle the issue, but rehabilitation and a sense of belonging. Now, researches have been more and more prevalent in backing this up. That way, drug control is through rehab now and not through violence. Violence costs a lot more than rehabilitation procedures, according to the researches seen in your screen. Fact number 2. Even if it could work, it causes economic imbalance. Money spent on arms greatly imbalances budgets on other governmental sectors. This is why our national budget is in shambles and the train law had to be implemented. These are with basis to credible sources showed in your screen. Keep in mind, we aren't biased. It's just that historically, the policy had no benefit. So with respect to the results, the policy clearly does not work. If someone had objective evidence why killing could solve problems and not actually increase it, then we should go ahead and engage in a discussion to eventually lead to a conclusion. But for now, killing has just been a mediocre way of policy implementation. It incites fear, which is objectively found wholly counterproductive in a leadership framework, according to research shown in your screen. This substantiates the maxim, everyone has a right to life, because ending someone else's offers no objective advantageous reason other than punitive, trust the word punitive, self-defense. If you do not have strong moral roots, then please do settle well with this logical argument. If you disagree, do not shun points, instead prove them wrong, and we'll listen to it objectively to discuss it. We want to start the pretense of discussing and formally formulating well-studied solutions to topics objectively. Our way of practicing freedom of speech. We hope that starting from now, lawmakers, scientists, historians, businessmen, and even us common folk would use facts to actually build upon our decisions and policies. For this is the truest, purest, and most beneficial practice of rights. We should not shut down factual discussion because of smart shaming, lazy policy implementation, or any other black propaganda. The death of objective discussion of the pros and cons of policies are what's causing the detriment of our society right now. Avoid this stigma and discuss. This is why freedom of speech and every other rights are important. It allows us to practice justice. What we advocate for this is the proper use of freedom, and to use our rights for the greater good.
We must exercise the truth and civil discussion when discussing courses of action.
Hashtag discuss.
Hashtag rationalize.
And the biggest hashtag, prove your point.
With human rights, we hope you use the power to do so.